nice skin, so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Life Gorgeous. My name is Kreger. Some say Lord Kilby. I will answer to that at a French restaurant. This is the Life Gorgeous, where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. One of my good buddies, he's a friend. He's very talented. My understanding is he won the 2022 Sportscaster of the Year. We'll talk about that for about 30 minutes. He's a repeat guest. Please welcome the great, the legend, Iron Eagle. Hello, sir.
Two-timer.
Yes.
I'm a two-timer with Lord Kilby. Amazing.
I have to read something. Now, this happened literally 10 minutes before we came on here and started recording. We are live to tape recording. This happened on my iconic Instagram. And I have some rabid fans. And this morning I posted I posted a soundbite from the Life Gorgeous, and this time I referred to it as TLG in the little caption. And this guy's funny, but he says, you know, for me, TLG used to mean tranquil moments of warmth and kinship surrounded by loving family and friends. But now for me, it's really just cracking open a can of Diet Simba, cooking up a tuna melt, and listening to the Iron Eagle episode for the 4th time in a row. But that's just me. So he does not know that as he posted this, I am now recording you.
Amazing.
And this will probably air in a few weeks. This is kind of an NFL and NBA preview show. But congratulations on the Sportscaster of the Year. How did that make you feel?
Oh, Craig, humbled. If I could just do my speech for you, that would probably cover everything. So I'll just start from the top. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here in Winston-Salem.
Was there a ceremony and you had to give us?
Was.
Oh, okay. Where was this? Because I know about
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh,
the heart of tobacco country, the NSMA.
Right.
It was actually a really wonderful weekend. Bill Raftery surprised me.
Oh, wow.
Did not know he was coming. The cocktail hour pops up, and shockingly, who's there during the cocktail hour? Oh, hey, Bird. Out of nowhere. That's really
nice.
Awesome.
And
it was really nice.
I saw the list. It's a who's who of Bob Costas, Vin Scully, etc. And I wonder, did you know about this? Did you have any inkling that you were going to be awarded this?
Yeah. So I greased it for a while. This was a 5-year plan of just handing out money, gift certificates, right. Credit card numbers, whatever I needed to do no, I did not know. I had won the New York version of their state versions of it.
Right.
So I'd won that a number of times and had actually attended the ceremony as a New York winner, but no, did not know anything about it until I got a phone call saying that indeed you are the 2022 recipient.
Whoa.
So Dave Gorin, who runs the NSMA, it was really nice. And the thing that really struck me about it, Kreger's in complete honesty, was how chill everybody was. Media members, where you normally see them in a game setting, are usually pretty edgy because they're facing a deadline or they're trying to get their information set in their brain. Everybody that was there, state winners and Hall of Famers and the sports writers, Ken Rosenthal and Pete Thamel were the winners this year. Everybody was just really calm and happy to be there. And it was just nice to interact with people in that state, as opposed to normally where there's a little bit of angst in the back and forth.
Well, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Really appreciate it.
And does that when you were like, you have a deal with TNT, Turner Sports, you have a deal with CBS, do you automatically get a 10% bump now because of the award?
Yeah, 15%.
15.
Interesting, you would say 10%, but no, it's actually 15%. So yeah, let's just get that out there. Now, those companies don't know about it, but I'm familiar with the clause.
So I'm gonna start off with some hoop stuff. You remember when, even though I'm going to reference a football coach, remember when Pete Carroll said to Jim Harbaugh, "What's your deal, man?" Like, remember that?
I do remember.
Okay.
That was Stanford, USC.
Yeah. It was really, yeah. So my question to you is, James Harden, what's his deal, man? I mean, he's just, now you know him because he played for the Nets, but what he said about Daryl Morey the other day was pretty harsh. Well, what's going on? Do you have any information or an opinion on that?
Yeah, no inside information. I do think that there is a handbook that he goes off of to try to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked in the past. So he goes through the different pages of how to get traded. And the latest page that he referred to prior to his comments overseas in China was, rip the team president, question him on every level as a human being, not as a basketball decision maker, but as a human being, and then get a one-way ticket out of town. The problem now is it's not as easy, and the Sixers are not going to give him away, and Daryl Morey is not going to lose this battle. But the deeper problem is, how do you maintain team chemistry? How do you show up at training camp with this hanging over your head? So I don't really know what the ultimate outcome is going to be here. I saw it go down with the Nets. He completely disengaged at the end of his tenure with the Nets. And he got what he wanted. He got the trade. He got to Philadelphia. He thought his old buddy Daryl Morey would basically pay him the maximum. They seem to have a little behind the scenes wink, wink agreement maybe last year, but James may have seen it one way. Daryl saw it another. And then as they kept their hand close, they looked at their cards, and Daryl realized, I might have the leverage here. So I'm going to ride this baby out.
Yeah, Harden is older now. I've never been a fan of his game, except when he first came on the scene out of Arizona State when he was with OKC. Yep. I thought he was pretty fun to watch. But yeah, he dribbles too much, and I don't know how much he stays in shape. But you were there, so are you the voice of the Nets, or you work for the Nets, or how does that work?
That's a great question.
Thank you,
Craig. Yeah, I'm the television voice of the Nets. This will be my 30th year associated with the franchise. And you say, Ian, you're way too young.
Yeah.
How is that possible? The numbers don't add up. Your skin, it looks like that of a 38-year-old. But it really has been 30 years, amazingly enough. Yes, I work for the Yes Network in New York, carrying the Net games. And it's been a long-term relationship, very long-term, in fact.
So that means you know Michael Grady.
I do. I know Michael Grady very well, and he is a terrific dude. He's an outstanding broadcaster. I think Timberwolves fans found out Michael's skill level and also his affability. Yeah. That's the other part. He's just a really likable person in addition to being extremely talented.
Yeah, he's good. I know him. He's very good. We had him on the pod. Yeah. He's talented. And he's got the pipes like you. You guys got the pipes, you know? So
it's all about the pipes, Craigers. It's all about the pipes. I first met you. I don't know if you recall exactly when it was, but it was at a Net game, so an NBA game. I presume it was the Timberwolves, and you were with Keith Olbermann at the game, NBA game, taking in the action. Unless I'm misremembering this,
that sounds right. I've seen you a few times.
I think it was that. It was that, and then fast forward, Minnesota. This is a very famous story between you and me, but in the hotel, and it's the dual lobby action where you have to take an elevator up and then walk around to the other side and take a different bank of elevators to your room. And I saw you in between. So not in the main lobby. I saw you in the secondary lobby. I'm not a stalker. I just have a photographic memory. And it was prior to Nets Timberwolves opening the season where the Nets went 12-60 that year. And they should have won that game. Damian Wilkins
Yes.
went off in overtime, a come-from-behind victory for the Timberwolves, and the Nets could not get off the mat.
Right.
They had, I believe, it may have been the worst start in NBA history. They ended up having one of the worst seasons in NBA history, and really a friendship was born
Yes.
at that point because our eyes connected.
Right.
And we just felt a kinship.
In that game, do you know who the coach of the Timberwolves was back then? He was only there a couple seasons. Former Laker Kurt Rambis. And
really?
Yes. And
I'm gonna have to get my charts out.
And we had a rookie point guard from Syracuse starting because we drafted him ahead of Steph Curry.
Johnny Flynn.
Flynn.
Yeah, Johnny Flynn running the show with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I also think I ran into you in Spinarkle. I don't know if this is true.
Yeah, college game, yes.
Was that down in New Orleans? I don't remember where it was. It was somewhere.
I don't remember.
Maybe it was
venue,
Indianapolis. I don't remember where it was. Somewhere.
Yeah, but Jim was fascinated by you. Spinarkle was very fascinated by you. You were very cordial.
But I was in a hurry, correct?
You were in a hurry. I think you're always in a hurry.
Yeah,
so
I got to get to the bar.
You seem to have somewhere to be, even though you were at the arena already. So I'm not really sure where you needed to be, but you jumped over and popped your head in between us. Hey, gentlemen, Craig Kilborn, Jim, big fan, Duke, Ian, we know each other. And then we had a little moment, and you're like, hey, I got to run. But great seeing you guys. Run where? Where are you going?
I'm working the room, man.
You were working
the arena. That is so funny. But I wanted to. So you were there. I have a couple Nets questions. So what happened with the big three and Steve Nash there? Kyrie and KD and Harden. I mean, that was exciting for a moment, right? They were good. They just weren't healthy.
Yeah, they were just never together long enough to actually establish and sustain excellence. But the little bits that we saw when the big three were engaged and playing together, they looked like championship caliber. And as we know, sliding doors in sports, one moment happens and it sets off a new course for players, coaches, management. One moment doesn't happen, it could have gone a different way, and you may have a completely different story, the butterfly effect. So the Milwaukee series, pretty famous. The fact that the Nets were an inch away, literally, from winning the series. If Kevin Durant's toe is behind the line, they win Game 7 on a three-pointer, and they advance to the conference finals. They probably beat Atlanta. Then they go to the NBA finals, and then who knows? Who knows how it all shakes out? They probably would have handled Phoenix in my eyes, but we don't know.
Right.
The reality is Giannis Antetokounmpo's career is completely different if he doesn't have that championship.
Yeah.
Odds are he and Milwaukee end up separating because the pressure would have built. Mike Budenholzer's job was on the line. He maintained his job, got an extension, eventually got let go, as we know, this past season. And the Nets' whole iteration of the big three would be viewed completely differently. If they win a championship, if they cash in, Craig, it's a whole different perception.
Yeah, it's crazy, all the things that could happen. Do you get depressed as an announcer for the team when you have all this talent and then it's traded away?
I'm in broadcast therapy. I didn't know if that was appropriate to bring up. No, I don't. I truly do not. I don't know what year it was. It was probably year 4 or 5 into my tenure doing the Nets, doing a local team, where I realized that I couldn't let the results affect my mood, my approach, my philosophy. And I looked at my job as being undefeated. I had no losses. I also had no wins.
Right. That's true.
I'm constantly 0-0. And that made for a much easier way of getting through the day-to-day existence of being a play-by-play announcer. Of course, if the Nets win, it makes the job more enjoyable and easier. People in the hallway want to look you in the eye. They want to talk. They want to chat. The Nets are losing And now you find those same people in an elevator. It might be quiet at the hotel on the road, and the banter is not quite what it would be on the bus. But I do recognize that I have a job to do. It's to inform, it's to entertain. And even in some of those really down years, I personally thought I had a really good year as a broadcaster,
Right.
finding
Yeah.
things to talk about, keeping it interesting, keeping it light, bringing levity, hopefully providing some nugget of information that fans didn't have prior to the broadcast. And that's probably the way that I maintain the balance. And I've been able to bring that to the national side of things because it is a different approach. But if you're still looking at it as I have a job to do, it is about being 50-50. It's about being equitable, and it's about covering the game. Cover the game. Don't get caught up in all the other stuff on the periphery.
Yeah, when I was playing ball or riding the bench at Montana State, I knew I wanted to go into broadcasting. I said, I love the game of basketball. I have no desire to coach. I had no desire to coach because of the losses. And it's just like you're always happy. I mean, even if it's a frustrating loss, when you're the announcer, you get to have a nice meal or a cocktail after the game, get a nice, night's sleep. But yeah, it doesn't, coaching never appealed to me, but, the Nets are interesting. I wanted to ask you also about Nashi. I know Steve Nash, great guy. What do you think the experience was for him? What was it like for him? Because he ended up losing his gig. It was kind of a tough situation he was thrown into, although I guess others criticized the Nets for hiring him because he was so green.
Yeah, I think the relationship he had with Sean Marks going back to their playing days played a large role. Sean trusted him, knew the kind of person he was, and the fact that he had the resume that he had meant that he would be able to command a room based on his knowledge, based on his humanity. Excellent communicator, looking you in the eye, telling you what needs to be said. But you also have to go through the rigmarole of handling egos and figuring out what buttons to push, and then just game strategy, being in that moment. Yes, you've experienced it as a player where your instincts take over. And now as a coach, it is a different role, and the players are looking towards you. I sensed by the end from Steve probably more frustration than anything else.
Right.
The fact that maybe his message was not connecting, not resonating, handling some of the stuff that I'm not sure anyone signs up for that were happening off the court between Kyrie and Harden and KD. And that effect was, I don't want to say overwhelming because Steve is very chill and balanced, but I do think he was exasperated by the end.
Sure.
And never got the team to the point where he wanted to, from a harmonious standpoint and even from a collaborative point of view. It just never quite got to that level where everybody seemed to be on the same page and trying to achieve the same objective.
Yeah, I think it was probably a relief when he lost the job. You were there when is it Prokhorov? Was that the owner?
Yeah, Mikhail. Yes.
How was he? What was that like? Because he came out with a splash with Paul Pierce and KG. What was that experience like?
From my perspective, it was actually a lot of fun. He had a great sense of humor. He paid attention, so he knew what was going on. He did have good people around him that I think prepared him for situations, whether it was from a PR standpoint or who he was talking to or who he would be in a room with. And he could then adjust based on that. The part that I didn't know, you just don't know. There have been enough changes in ownership now that I've realized that you have to take every instance for what it is. It's not the same. Different background, different ego, different goals. And what I started with as a net broadcaster in 1994 is so different than what the experience is today in 2023. 1994, the Nets had 7 owners. 7 guys shared ownership. And it was such an interesting dynamic. These were all guys that were successful individually within their different realms.
Yeah.
But then to come together as one, making decisions, basketball decisions, personnel decisions, it was a challenge. And it became pretty well known within the organization that nothing is going to be easy.
Right.
So when the team was sold from there, it was a completely new dynamic. And as the broadcaster, look, you do your job and you hope that your quality work speaks for itself. But we know how the world works. You have to recognize that you've got to, I don't want to say prove yourself all over again, but you definitely have to get in there and figure out the whole social part of it in where you fit in and how much they want to actually be involved with the broadcast side. Some were more involved than others. So Prokhorov, he pretty much stayed out of that side of it. But anytime I was in his company, he was highly engaging. He would ask questions. He was maybe the world's most interesting man. He really was an interesting dude.
My inside information was Prokhorov was not necessarily an Iron Eagle fan.
Oh, wow.
But Putin,
that hurts.
Putin was. And so you were untouchable.
Good to know moving forward.
You were untouchable at that time.
Hey, there was stuff there, Craig, that you would hear about behind the scenes and think to yourself, okay, this guy's been through a lot of different experiences than previous ownership. You'd get through the backstory of previous owners, and now you'd hear about Mikhail Prokhorov and how he got to where he was. You're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's going to be a little different when that book is written. No doubt.
I want to quickly ask you, I could research this on NBA.com, but then they have all those little pop-ups and ads. I'm just going to ask you.
No, you don't have time for
the
that.
The NBA in-season tournament, I haven't researched it yet. They're different games. I guess my first question is, will all the teams in the NBA still play 82 regular season games, or is that tournament going to affect the total number of games? Do you know? I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No. Fortunately, I have enough knowledge. I wouldn't call myself an expert on it quite yet, but I do have enough knowledge. If you advance all the way to the championship game, there will be an inequity of games, but it will not go towards the standings. So the games that are part of the in-season tournament are regular season games with a little bit more importance. And that's, I think, the idea behind it is to give some juice to the month of November and December, where the games are happening, but maybe people aren't paying a high level of attention unless you're an NBA junkie. And then the other part, the obvious part, is if you're crowning a champion, if there's something on the line, okay, maybe this doesn't mean much to the Denver Nuggets. They just won an NBA championship, but it's going to mean something to the Oklahoma City Thunder to show that you're going in the right direction. You're building something. There is credibility that's forming with the team that you have. So, yes, to answer your question, those stats will not count. If you score 45.
That was my question. If Anthony Edwards scores 50, it doesn't count.
Won't count. So similar to the play-in games where, I think initially, and I don't know where you fit in on this, but people were not thrilled with the play-in format before they ever played a play-in.
Right.
And now, a few years outside of that original plan, people are into it.
Yeah.
They like it. They like that it's created a little more competition. It's made the late regular season games more meaningful in terms of jockeying for position. But those stats do not count.
Yeah.
They go into an echo chamber, never to be heard from again.
Yep.
It is a little bit bizarre because sports, how do we normally catalog? We catalog based on numbers and situations, and we remember things based on those stats.
Yeah.
And the fact that the stats don't count is a little bit weird.
So just to echo what you're saying as far as liking the play-in, after last year's play-in game, not this past year, but 2 years ago, when the Wolves hosted the the Clippers.
Yeah.
That game, the local writer said that's probably the greatest Timberwolves game in history. And it was actually better than, and I agreed with the columnist, the other game was KG game 7 against Sacramento when KG had his birthday and he had 40 and 21 or something, or 38 and 21. But the play-in game against the Clippers when Cat was taken out of the game and D'Lo scored like 25. But that was a very exciting game. So I do like the play-in, although I will say concerning the Timberwolves, the national media, I've talked to a few people, they think the Wolves are going to be fighting again for a play-in spot. And I think if we stay healthy, the way we played against Denver, even though we lost 4-1, we could finish in the top 5 in the West potentially. But I like what we have. By the way, do you know we traded a couple years ago for Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, and he had a great year with the Wolves. And I had seen him play before, but I didn't know he was that good. We got a guy that I don't watch much, but now I'm really excited about him, Shake Milton. What's your scouting report on Shake? Is he good?
He is good. He's very productive and he's very efficient. And with Philadelphia, I always found it interesting because his role seemed to constantly change. There were stretches where they were leaning on him a lot based on injury, based on coach's decision, and then stretches where he was not a huge part of the rotation. But every time that he came in, he seemed to make something happen. He's very savvy, and I think he's going to help you guys. He's one of those guys. He's a professional scorer.
Yeah.
He can get to the rim. He can finish, but he's also capable of setting other guys up. So I think you're gonna like his game, and he's going to fit in nicely with what your team is building right now. I thought that was a really good signing.
Well, I'm going to just watching him and highlights in his body. I'm going to say two guys. He's taller than one of them, but I'm going to say he's a cross between, and I just like saying players' names, Sidney Moncrief and Michael Ray Richardson.
Oh, wow. I love the comparison.
You're going to say he's not. I love the comparison. Good. He's not quite that good, but he seems to. He has the arms and he handles the ball and he moves a certain way and he gets his shot off. So I kind of like him. But anyways.
And the Kyle Anderson part of it, Craig, is he got the nickname slow-mo. As we know, everything just seems to be in slow motion. You think, all right, there's no way he's going to get a shot off. There's no way he's going to get to the spot that he wants to. And he does.
Right.
He does it in his way. And I think Shake Milton has a little bit of that as well. He's just got an ability to fade a bit, get the shot off over a taller defender. He's not, I wouldn't call him lightning fast, yet he gets to the places he wants to get to.
Okay, so those are the kind of guys that I like. They move at I call it moving at your own speed. Paul Pierce moves at his own speed.
Agreed.
There was a guy, this is a more obscure reference, but he played for the Rockets. He went to Drake University. His name was Lewis Lloyd. And I talked to some NBA guys that go, he just his timing. He just throws us off when he drives. He's like he moves at his own speed. Do you remember that guy or not?
Oh yeah, that was that during the Allen Level period?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was
the Rockets. Yeah, they had. Anyways, so I like guys that kind of move it. Luka moves at his own speed, obviously.
Completely.
Yes.
Completely.
So those guys are fun. So I'm now going to talk football with my guy because, I'm a Vikings fan, but I just want to talk Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know if it's his throwing motion or what. I find him highly entertaining, highly talented. And I think he's one of the greatest of all time, although he loses, unfortunately. I can't believe he lost a playoff game at home to Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. You got to win those home games. But first of all, what do you think of Aaron Rodgers as an all-time great? Where do you rank him?
If you're going strictly on how he throws the football, how he carries himself, his movements, the whole package, he's, to me, right up there. He's just gifted. He's a gifted passer. He thinks the game. He talks the game in a certain way. Look, we're fortunate when you do the network broadcast, you get a chance to sit down with the quarterback and the head coach and a running back, a wide receiver, the lead linebacker, a corner, a safety, a defensive end. It's all there for you. So I've had that opportunity over the last 25 years, literally with CBS, to sit down with Brady and Manning and Breeze and Marino, if we're going back to my early years. And Aaron Rodgers is extremely interesting. And I do the Jets preseason telecast. So recently had a chance to sit down with him in a production meeting. It was as comfortable, as at ease, as loose as I've ever seen him in that setting.
Yeah.
Open, honest, direct. So I do think there's been a bit of an epiphany for him, maybe because he knows, hey, I'm not going to do this forever. I'm going to try to enjoy it a little bit more. And also recognizing that everybody is looking at him.
Yeah.
They're following his lead. And at Jets camp right now, that's a positive.
Yeah.
He is very ingratiating, and he's been very open and welcoming, trying to make everyone that comes within his sphere feel comfortable in his presence.
Yeah.
And that's been a very conscious effort, I think, on his part.
I'm going to now on the spot, I'm going to try to name my 3 favorite throwing motions in the NFL for quarterbacks. Then you can do it. I'm going to go.
Was it Lewis Lloyd? Was that one of them?
He was NBA. He was stylish. Nickname was Black Magic back at Drake in Des Moines, is what I understand. Okay, so you got Aaron Rodgers, Marino. I loved his quick release.
Agreed.
And then I'm going to just have some fun and say Jeff George, just to see if you'll laugh. Jeff George. I'm kidding.
No, I'm not going to laugh.
He's great.
The guy had a cannon.
Unbelievable.
Cannon.
Yes.
Absolute cannon. Yes.
So do you
love
have,
it.
can you think of 3 your favorite guys to watch pass the football?
Just in the way they threw the ball.
Yeah, because I did like Peyton Manning, but I'm not using that as a throwing motion. I'm not saying him. I just like certain guys the way they throw the ball.
Yeah, I like the way Kurt Warner threw it.
Okay.
Like when he got it rolling.
Yeah,
there was a stretch there where I just enjoyed the way he threw the ball during those Rams years. Obviously, they were throwing it all over the field, but even later with Arizona, there was just a comfort in the way that he went about his business, and I thought he worked really hard at it to get to that level. So I give him a great deal of credit. I mean, look, Marino,
yes.
I put at another level.
Yep.
And it's also when it's so unique and it just looks like the way it's supposed to look. And that's my point with Aaron.
Yes.
He does it in a fashion. I can't even say, 7 other guys do it that way. They don't.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yep.
It's singularly him. Tom Brady, I thought, developed over time. Take a look at Brady, his first year, or you didn't really see him in New England his first year, so his second year. And then look at Brady in the later part of his career. He tinkered, he changed, he adjusted based on the things he needed to do. He learned about torque and how to use his body. And obviously he went to all lengths to keep himself healthy and try to squeeze whatever he could out of his body to play this game and play it at a high level. But just pure thrower of the ball, that's a different classification to me.
I'll tell you a guy that I didn't like his throwing motion was Phillip Rivers.
No, that was a tougher one. That was low, and everyone thought there's no way initially this guy is going to make it like this.
Yeah.
And he was resolute in his approach of, hey, this is how I do it.
Right.
And it's worked my whole life, and it's going to work in the NFL.
I liked Brett Favre that he threw the ball so hard and he tried to squeeze it in there. Did you like Brett Favre watching him?
I like calling his games. I like watching him. When he got to the Jets that one year, I had not had a whole lot of dealing with him in production meetings. Maybe I had them once prior to that. And then Obviously got to sit down with him a bunch of times, blown away by him in that setting. He just liked to talk ball.
Yeah.
You find out
Yeah.
with these guys. I know it's just a snapshot.
Yeah.
We tend to look at those meetings as the end all, and you make a lot of determinations based on, well, how'd it go? How was your 12 minutes? But it does give you a little window into who they are and how. Peyton Manning, my first NFL broadcast on CBS was Peyton Manning's first game as a pro. So I'd never been in a production meeting at that point for the NFL. The first guy I meet with is Peyton Manning. I walk in there. He walks in. He knows my name. So didn't need to know that.
Right.
He asked the PR guy who am I meeting with, and then addressed me as such, and then blew us away for 15 minutes of how smart he was, how engaging he was, his eye contact. At the end of it, your name again. And I thought, oh, wow, it's a new world. I'm in the NFL now.
Right.
And then I realized, no. It's just Peyton Manning.
Right.
It was his first game, Craig.
Right.
So you do get you get the thoroughness, you get a sense of the professionalism that these guys have, and a little bit in how they go about their business.
I was a huge Peyton Manning fan. I thought he was a surgeon. I remember there was somebody did a tweet, some joke when there was Inflategate for Brady, and they said Peyton Manning he'd be studying the rule book. He'd know all about this beforehand. Never would have happened to him. Like some joke about
That's
how
true.
thorough he is. So are you allowed to have a favorite NFL team? Are you a Jets fan? Were you a Jets fan growing up?
Not allowed. Yeah,
Not allowed.
I had to sign a waiver. Not allowed. Whatever happened prior to my broadcast life doesn't count.
Okay.
It's like Men in Black.
Right.
They erase it from your memory bank.
Because this is why I asked that. I have friends in New York, Hank and Steve, and they are Jets fans, and they live and die with the Jets. And I might be more excited because for whatever reason, even if I didn't like a ball player, like I didn't really like Iverson, but when he was traded to the Denver Nuggets, I go, I want to watch his first game. It's kind of fun. So I'm fired up for the Jets. I remember when they had, it was Rex Ryan, right? The coach, they were pretty good with him. But but a couple years ago, some other football pundits were saying the Jets they're kind of cursed. If they draft a good quarterback, he won't be good with them, blah, blah, blah. So why did Aaron Rodgers choose the Jets? And in fact, are they going to be really good this year?
I think he did look at the young talent on the team. When you have the offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year from the same season, which they had with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. And that was just a tip of the iceberg on the 2022 draft class where Joe Douglas hit it out of the park. Mm-hmm. There was a sense from last year that they were in every game, basically, and they were missing the quarterback.
Right.
Zach Wilson, year 2, it didn't work. And there's a lot of blame to go around. It's not all on Zach, but this is a restart for him. And he gets a chance now to learn from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron saw that this was an opportunity. Certainly, New York didn't hurt in terms of his image and the fun factor and something so different than all his years in Green Bay. It's just going to be a very unique experience for him. And I do think he looked at the talent and he looked at the coaching staff and he looked at the setup, met with ownership, and was comfortable with what he was walking into. Both sides have said, and I don't think they're just saying it for the sake of saying it. I felt it was genuine. Both sides have said it's actually surpassed their expectations. Aaron saying, this has been better than I thought it would be. And the Jets, Saleh, others within the organization saying he's actually been better than we thought he was going to be in how he's handled everything and how he's just figured out that we need him to be this guy. And he wants it. He's leaned into it.
Right.
I don't know how much you've watched of Hard Knocks so far. He's the star because he's Aaron Rodgers, but also he's giving them compelling footage, right? Because he's an interesting dude.
I haven't seen it yet. I watched Kirk Cousins on Netflix on the quarterback, produced by Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
When I know that you have leadership skills like I do. When you hear about Zach Wilson dating his mom's friend, do you pull him aside and say, cut that crap out, wait for the off season, or do you just let it go?
Yeah, no, I found in my broadcast career, the players love getting dating advice from me. You know, that's been a huge part of my brand.
Okay. Wait, so I just looked. So I'm pulling for the Jets. It's easy. They're in the AFC. I follow the Vikes in the NFC, but I just checked. I'm weird with this schedules because I would get so mad when Mike Zimmer was there. I always look at road games out of the division, and the Vikes would have to fly to Seattle every year when Zimmer was there. We got to go to Philadelphia again this year. We went last year, game 2. But I looked at the Jets schedule, and it looks kind of brutal to me. Do you agree, or is that a normal schedule for you guys? Not you guys, for the Jets. Excuse me.
Top heavy,
yeah.
Craig, I would say. Back end, it's definitely a little lighter.
Yeah.
And we're doing all of this on paper. You know, it's interesting. I even wrote down on my board for the first preseason game, and I didn't say it on the air. I thought twice about it. I might use it in game 2 or beyond. But I had them as the 6th hardest strength of schedule for 2023.
Yeah.
But the reality, as we know, is that's a moving target because it's all based on the 2022 results. And what we've learned in the NFL from year to year, yes, there are some teams that sustain excellence. There are consistent organizations, but there are also teams that are a flash in the pan. And they're up one year, they're down big the next year. They win a Super Bowl one year, they struggle a bit the next, and vice versa. Teams that are poor the next year, great draft class, right free agents, favorable schedule, and boom, they're a 10-win team and they're going to the playoffs. So yes, you're right. On paper right now, the Jets have a very challenging schedule the first 6 weeks, 6-7 weeks in particular.
Yep.
But then you look at November into December, and they're, at least on paper,
right.
There are a bunch of winnable games. So can they navigate through that first part and come out the other side still feeling as if they're a legit contender? We're going to find out.
Yeah, I actually didn't look past like the first 7 weeks. I was just like, they're playing Philadelphia. They're playing they're playing all these guys. They're playing the Giants, the Bills. Yeah, I was like, So, do you need a scouting report? Because I know this guy. I don't know him personally, but I love him. Do you need a scouting report on Dalvin Cook? Because he's gifted.
Familiar with him. I've seen him put up huge numbers. I've done enough Vikings games through the years that the highlight reel is legit. I did the Jets Vikings last year, in fact, for CBS, and they had a tough time stopping the run in that game. Jets easily could have won that game. If you recall, Mike White, couple of picks, chance on 4th down. They go for it late. That doesn't work out, and the Vikings get a W. The Jets' playoff chances were deteriorating quickly at that stage, but they were still very much alive at that point. I think the Jets feel like they're in a complete win-now mode. And considering Aaron Rodgers' age, he's going to turn 40 in December, considering what's expected of the front office, of the coaching staff, the clock is ticking. They're trying to get it all done now.
Yeah.
That's their point of view. They're seeing it through that prism. And I think for Jets fans, they're comfortable with it. Look, the one thing in this market, having grown up in New York, having lived in New Jersey 27 years now, they're always looking to make a splash because when you're the second team in a market, you're constantly searching for that, creating some buzz. You just want to be relevant.
Yep.
And that often has taken the Jets off course because they've made some moves with the hope that people will talk about them or show up. This time around, I think they honestly believe they're close to being a team that could be in the hunt.
Dalvin has quick feet, just to let you know, good in the little spaces.
Cool. Let me write this down.
but he can break them. He'll break a few 20-yarders, 40 yards, but he does. I mean, in college, they said he fumbled. He fumbles every once in a while in the pros, but he's only 28, and I love him. I mean, they say he might be slowing down, but I'm pulling for him. I hope he does well. He's really exciting for me to watch.
Why isn't he on the Vikings?
Because it was costly. Number one, I think they think Alexander Madison is he can be a starter. Maybe I think statistically they said he was slowing down a little bit, but I think it was mainly the cost. That's my guess. But they let Eric Kendricks go, and he's doing, he was one of my favorite players, and he's doing well with the Chargers. They didn't get rid of my favorite, Harry the Hitman, Harrison Smith. Love him. And Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. We had a bad defense last year. We're not bad. We'll see how we do with the greatest receiver in football, Justin Jefferson.
I am expecting a number of Paul Allen highlights over the course of the season. Memorable Paul Allen sound bites throughout the year.
He's classic.
I think you're going to get a bunch of them.
By the way, one of the most frustrating things, and this is going to go back to the Jets, but is when the offensive line is suspect, and Kirk took a lot of beating, and before him, Sam Bradford took beatings, and we didn't have a good offensive line. Now we have two good tackles, and Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. Our right guard is a little suspect. I'm hearing that the offensive line for the Jets might be a weakness. Is that what you're hearing? And how do you fix that?
Yes, that has been a very big narrative in this preseason for the Jets, because obviously, first and foremost, to win in this league, you got to be pretty sound up front. But if you're going to bring Aaron Rodgers in and you can't protect him and give him time to be a surgeon and to work his magic, then what are you doing here? So the concerns are, Dwayne Brown has been on the physically unable to perform list. He is not a spring chicken, 36 years old, 16 years in the league, multiple Pro Bowls, but can you just pencil him in at left tackle and not worry about it? He's gotten 0 reps during the preseason. Mekhi Becton, who was a high draft pick out of Louisville, weight problem, injury issues, 1 game in the last 2 seasons combined because of knee trouble. Where does he fit in? They've talked about getting their best 5 on the field, not necessarily in the spot that they're currently listed in. So Elijah Vera Tucker, high draft pick, one of the best rookies in the NFL 2 years ago, injured triceps last season. He's been at right guard, started at left guard as a rookie. There's talk that he might have to play tackle for this team because they may not trust the guys they currently have. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a conundrum right now, Craig, when you're at this stage and you're not quite sure who's going to be where. That's why you've heard concern coming from that camp.
Right. Oh, here we go. I wanted to thank you. It was a big moment. The Montana State Bobcats were playing in the NCAA tournament, and my phone blew up. I recorded and I saw it later, but I was watching a very important regular season Wolves game. I apologize. But you did a shout out to Kilby. You did Jumanji on the first Bobcat basket.
I did.
And they showed a picture of me. Thank you for that. It had to be also fun for me, but maybe a career highlight for Iron Eagle.
Yeah, I think that may have won me Sportscaster of the Year. I don't know if that was the specific moment or not, but I believe it did play a large role in the final tally. No, it was a blast. And obviously, Craig, I know how much of a hoop head you are, and the fact that maybe there are people out there that never connected the dots and knew about your basketball background. So it wasn't just a shout out to a buddy. It was honest information for NCAA fans that might have said after we showed the picture, wait, the Craig Kilborn played at Montana? Huh.
Basketball
power. It was cool.
The basketball power, full ride at the basketball power.
The basketball power. And the Jumanji That was a shout out.
Yes.
That one was not necessary, but I felt it just fit the
Oh,
mold.
it was great. It was great. But interestingly, they showed a picture of me playing defense. The
Yeah.
offensive machine was playing defense. I don't know. All the pictures of me shooting jump shots were slightly blurry. I don't know if the local photographer
Weird.
was messing with me, but
It's odd.
so Spinarkle was doing the color, and he said, he's looking right in the offensive player's eyes. He's going to go right by him. That's what he said. And I want Spinarkle, I want Jimbo to know that I made eye contact, and then I do something no one else does, and I wink, and then the guy kind of softens, and then I steal the ball from him. So
Brilliant.
So Spinarkle thought I got beat on a drive, but I did not. You know what I'm saying?
Craig, you're playing chess. Jim's playing checkers. It's that simple. You're at another level, a different universe.
I remember my dad was a big Jim Spinarkle fan in college when he was at Duke. I think he was taken, I don't know if this is right, second round by the Sixers, but something like that.
First round
by the Sixers?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And he didn't make it. A lot of great players. Steve Alford, a lot of great players don't make it. The college players don't make it in the NBA. But he had a really nice career at Duke, didn't he?
He had a great career at Duke. They lost the championship game to Kentucky. Jack Goose Givens, that was 78. Jim goes to Philadelphia. The team is of championship caliber with Dr. J and with Darryl Dawkins and Doug Collins at that point. Jim doesn't see a whole lot of playing time. He gets exposed in the expansion draft.
Oh.
And the Dallas Mavericks take him.
Yeah.
So he heads to Dallas with his 70s/80s mustache. You can look that up on the internet. It's easily accessible. And he ends up becoming a very solid scorer for the Mavs. They needed someone to put points on the board. They were not winning a whole lot of games.
Look that up. Okay.
Yeah, look it up. Jimmy was a very solid scorer with the Dallas Mavericks, and you had Brad Davis on that squad. Yeah. Eventually, Aguirre was on that team.
I was a Mark Aguirre fanatic. I liked it. I liked how he handled the ball and how he moved at his own speed. High arc. He had a soft touch. I liked him, Mark Aguirre.
Yeah, and his skills of backing down an opponent. Yeah. He would just physically overmatch guys and use his size to his advantage. And he had that fadeaway. I love that DePaul group. I was a Terry Cummings guy. There was a kid that went to my high school
Clyde
that
Bradshaw.
was much older than me.
No,
Kenny Patterson was point guard at Forest Hills High School. Before I got there, Ernie Grunfeld was before Kenny Patterson. So I felt a connection that a kid from my high school had made it to DePaul and was showing up on NBC with Marv Albert and Bucky Waters calling the games and Don Criqui on Saturday afternoon. So, yeah, we share that. I really liked DePaul for some reason, maybe because they were just on TV.
They were on TV all the time, and Mark Aguirre, he'd hold the ball up like Dr. J, wouldn't jump as high as Dr. J, but he'd do the Statue of Liberty and extend. I just remembered when I said 6th or 2nd round, there was another guy that I really liked. I'm going to give you a few clues. Did not make it in the NBA. As a freshman, he was at the University of Minnesota, and he finished 2nd in the Big Ten in assists to a guy named Magic Johnson. Then he transferred to Syracuse, one of the greatest Canadians of all time.
Oh, Leo Routins.
Routins, baby. He was good, right?
Oh, Leo was a terrific player. He's a great guy. I've gotten to know him because he's a Raptors broadcaster for so many years. And then his son played at Syracuse. Andy Routins had a really nice career for the Orange. So they kept it all in the family there with the Routins.
Yeah, he was 2nd round by the Sixers, and he didn't make it.
Yes.
And he was 6'7", 6'8". He could really pass the ball. I thought his shot was a little set shot or a little off to the side. I wish I could have worked with him in the gym for a while. Get that elbow tucked. But yeah, he looks like $1 million. It looks like he doesn't touch any alcohol. I mean, he looks really healthy.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions, but no, he has a beautiful head of hair.
Yes,
he had beautiful hair back in the day.
Yeah.
It was more of of a fro then,
Yeah.
and now it's not quite in that form. He's a lovely guy.
I wonder
He's
where he
he's really good.
ranks as far as greatest Canadian ball players. Do you think he's in the top 10 or top 15 or maybe? Or
I think now we've seen a proliferation.
Yeah.
So I think there was a long stretch, Craig, where he was absolutely top 10.
Yeah.
But if you started going through it now that we've had, a solid 10, 12 years of Canadian talent
Right.
and influx, his numbers
Sure.
probably dropped a bit because we've really had successful guys, Steve Nash included, who we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, that won MVP awards. It's not a novel act anymore when a Canadian player comes in and plays well in the NBA. It's becoming much more commonplace.
I remember this. His dad, you know how sometimes the dads are the biggest fans. And when he came to
Sure.
the University of Minnesota, he said, in the world right now, the three best passers are Magic, Larry, and Leo. I'm telling you, this guy can pass the ball. It was so fun. I couldn't believe that. All right. So quickly, before we get to the Life Gorgeous quiz, which I'm excited about, we have some breaking news that we buried. The word is that Iron Eagle is no longer drinking Cosmopolitans and all those other syrupy drinks.
Yeah.
He's just a beer man now. Is that true?
Well, let me say this. A year ago when we spoke on Life Gorgeous, maybe I was going through some stuff. I don't know. But it was divulged that I enjoyed a mixed drink. If there was an umbrella in it, I was cool with it. I didn't care what color the drink was. I didn't care if someone questioned my masculinity at all. It didn't matter. I was up for anything. And here we are now a year later. And let me also mention, Craig, the Kilby Army is very strong because when you released our podcast, I can't tell you how many people reached out, text, email, carrier pigeon, whatever it was. I was getting messages left and right across the globe about our chat. The fact that Charo came up. That wasn't planned.
Oh, yeah.
How many podcasts do you hear Charo mention? That got a legitimate mention 1 year ago. So the update on my drinking, I'm not a big drinker during the season. I tend to get off it so that I can do my job and go from city to city to city and do 5 games in a week in 5 different cities and not have disruptions. But in the summer, I do like to participate. And I have gone back to my roots. And I am now a beer drinker once again. Basically, beer only.
Keep it simple.
I'm so
Keep
sorry
it
to let you
simple.
down.
No, that's fine. I think people should avoid the hard liquor if they can. I prefer red wine only because I get a little chunky. It'd be hard for me to still dunk if I drank beer. But
Yep.
Are you not worried about your weight with the beer or not?
I am.
Okay.
I'm quite worried,
Okay.
but it's not stopping me from doing it.
You know, I reached out in July when you were vacationing, and I just am curious, the media elite, where they vacation. I'm assuming it's like a Barbados. You were there, or Turks and Caicos. Where does a guy who's at Sportscaster of the Year, where does he vacation in July? What exotic?
You're like Kreskin.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Barbados / Turks and Caicos.
No.
You nailed it.
Where would you
how
have
you know
gone?
these
It probably
things.
was Teaneck, New Jersey, where my dad went to high school.
Tenafly. Very close. Very close. No, we were down to the Jersey Shore, which I never thought would be a part of our lives.
Yeah.
When I'm from New York originally,
Yeah.
New Jersey was a foreign land. I knew nothing about it. I didn't care to know.
Right.
It's not even that I was ignorant. I didn't even
Snob.
take a moment to ask questions.
Yeah.
It was a non-factor. So the idea that I've now lived in this state for as long as I have, and now we are vacationing in a different part of the state, and I'm enjoying it. It wasn't even like, all right, let's give it a shot. It's been great.
Yeah.
It's been a really nice surprise, and that's where we were. Yeah. So no red wine gives me a headache, and then the hard liquor I find has been affecting my sleep.
Oh yeah.
So
That'll happen.
I tried both.
Yep.
I dabbled early in the summer, and then I quickly realized I'm not responding well to it. So, I adopt a new beer every summer that I just embrace. And this has been the summer of Kona. That's been my go-to. It's
Oh.
delicious.
So,
Delicious. I
yeah.
look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, the hard liquor will in fact affect your sleep. You'll sleep for 2 hours hard and then you'll wake up and be interrupted. So I don't
Completely.
drink a lot of beer. There's a couple fun ones. So my brother likes IPA. It might be too bitter for people. I'll give you one, but I think it's more fattening. It's unfiltered. It's called Hefeweizen.
Oh,
Hefeweizen.
yeah, I like
And
a
they
nice
put a lemon
Hefeweizen.
in
Yes.
there and it's
I like it.
refreshing. Yeah.
I like the Blue Moon. I
Yeah.
like the Hefeweizen. I like whenever if they put a fruit in it, you somehow convince yourself it's healthy or you're
Exactly.
doing something good for your body. You're not,
The other
but
one is
you convince.
is Chimay, which is it's fun to say Chimay, and they have a nice
Yeah,
goblet that they pour it into. Okay, we could go on
I
talking
don't.
alcohol for hours, but we
I don't even know what that is. What is it?
it's
A
Chimay.
Chimay?
It's spelled Chimay, Chimay, and
Chimay, and it's a brand of beer.
yeah, it's a brand. It could be I think it's a brand, but let me see if it's a brand or an actual type of beer. Let's just see what it says. It's a kind of. Oh, I spelled it wrong. We'll pull this
Oh,
up in post.
yep, yep.
Chimay Brewery, Chimay Blue. Let's see what it says.
Is there an E or is it an A? Is it CHA?
Chimay.
I. Yeah.
It's in Belgium. It's from Belgium. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, it's a brand, Chimay. You're gonna
All
love
right.
it.
Well, my hope is by the time we speak and do this for the third time down the road, and my understanding is Beetle and Rusillo have been repeat guests.
Yes.
So that's tremendous company
Yes.
because I love both of them as people and as broadcasters. So I'm in a select group.
And Rusillo's name may come up when I give you one of these questions here. I'll tell you what that is. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the Life Gorgeous quiz. These are simple questions, profound insights. And Iron Eagle is ready to play. You did reveal last time, I'm not going to harp on it, that you have a bit of a sweet tooth, but that's okay. So I'm going to give you a choice from your childhood. I think this is pretty easy. Milky Way or Reese's Peanut Butter Cup?
Yeah, peanut butter cups every time.
Absolutely. And why? Any particular reason? I think Milky Way is overrated, but that's me.
I would agree with you on that. It's just the blend, the peanut butter, the chocolate. It's a perfect combination. I could eat 1,000 of them if I allowed myself to.
Slow down. Because you like candy, I'm guessing you saw Barbie before Oppenheimer. Am I right?
You are correct. Wow. That's like some deep stuff that you were able to
Yeah.
analyze my life choices and then determine which film I would see first. Yes, I saw Barbie before Oppenheimer. Yes.
By the way, I'm going to throw this one in there. Are you allowed to give your NFL Super Bowl prediction? Or
I'm not.
you're not? Okay.
No, not allowed.
Okay. I wanted to see. I just think it's hilarious that the Rams fell off the map after they won the Super Bowl, and it's just so weird.
know.
But Kansas City's tough, and I assume Philly is still going to be really good. So I don't.
Philly's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Philly's legit. To me, they're the team to beat this season. I ended up doing the Super Bowl on the World Feed last year, and it was a fantastic game, thriller. Philly is a player or two away from being world champions. So you have to give them their roses. I think Jalen Hurts has surpassed every expectation of what people thought he could be as a professional QB. He's got natural leadership abilities. Guys follow him. They believe in him. I think the coach QB dynamic is a really good one with Sirianni. Mm-hmm. They lost both coordinators, so that's something to keep an eye on, just the transition of what their culture was and how they go about their business, installing their offense, defense every week, and the specific game plans and how it plays out on Sundays or Mondays, whenever their game is. But player for player, roster-wise, I don't know if there's a better roster in the NFL. Yep. So Philly would be my team to beat this year.
Next question is a hoop question. Greatest shooter in Nets history. This is my opinion. Greatest shooter in Nets history. I've written it down.
Greatest shooter in Nets history. Well, Joe Harris will go down as the best statistical shooter in Nets history. He won the three-point shootout as a member of the Nets. No Net had ever done that. He led the league in three-point shooting at one point during his tenure. No Net had done that either. It's going to be tough to top him, but that might be recency bias. You might have someone in the back of your mind.
You're probably forgetting, and then you'll go, "Oh yeah," but he passed away.
Johan Petro, is that who you're thinking of?
Drazen Petrovic.
Oh, Petro. Yeah, Drazen's number one.
Yeah, I just loved him. I loved his release. He was amazing. How many years was he there? Was he there a few years? Or was it?
He was there a few years. Obviously, his death was tragic.
Yes.
It came at a time where they were actually entering contract negotiations, and nobody was really certain whether he was going to be back. Willis Reed, who was the GM at the time, assured anyone that asked that no, the Nets were going to re-sign Drazen. He was the heart and soul of the team. Chuck Daly had been the coach at that point, and they then dropped off. Chuck leaves. It was Derek Coleman, Kenny Anderson, Butch Beard came in as the head coach. They went 30-52. They went 30-52 the next year. Then they started making major changes. So the team didn't recover from that. That set them back a while. But yeah, if you remember, he had a very small role in Portland. He couldn't crack their rotation. And then he comes to the Nets and he just lights the league on fire.
It was great.
You're right, though. He was number one. Clearly.
Yeah, I'd have to look up his stats, but I just remember he was pure shooter. Final question. This is the one I love asking people, and it is a food question. And this is where Russillo had balked at one of mine. But your 3 favorite sandwiches of all time.
Oh, Craig. Look.
Don't say you don't like sandwiches.
I've got issues. I'm not going to tell you I dislike sandwiches. I like sandwiches. Okay. But I don't use condiments. So that throws a monkey wrench into this question because your thought of a sandwich and my thought of a sandwich are 2 completely different things. A sandwich to me is nice, lean roast beef, a little bit of lettuce, bread. That's it.
Okay.
That's the sandwich.
Okay. This is fascinating. This is what throws me off. I have a friend we'll call him a neighbor, who doesn't have the most sophisticated palate.
I would be similar.
He's gone to Subway Sub before. He drinks Diet Coke. He drinks a lot of Diet Coke.
Yep.
And I went to a deli and he wouldn't put mayo on his turkey club. And I'm like, well, then you need the moisture. He goes, well, I don't want to get fat from the mayo. I said, no, just have that. You can have cheese on your. So you're saying you don't like mayo or mustard
or ketchup? Yeah,
I don't like
all
ketchup,
3.
but yeah.
So no, not that I don't like them, Craig. That's fairly common. I think there are a lot of people that might. I've never had them. I don't eat them. I don't consume them. And this is sad.
Okay, I didn't know.
At the end of our conversation,
come to a screeching.
There's a lot of mutual respect,
so and then it just comes. You have some issues. So you've never had a BLT?
Yeah, I've had
without
bacon,
the mayo, or
I've had lettuce. I wouldn't have tomato on it, and no, I wouldn't have mayo. No.
Do you eat vegetables or no?
Not really.
Okay, so that's the Al Michaels. He just wants his meat. That's hilarious. So is the top 3 sandwiches come to a screeching halt where you just name the roast beef? There's nothing else, right?
No. I could have a turkey sandwich. What do you consider cheesesteak a sandwich?
Yes, cheesesteak is a sandwich. Yeah. You like those?
And I love cheesesteak.
That's good.
No peppers.
Okay.
But cheese, little bit of onion, steak.
That's good.
I'm good. Roast beef, lettuce, bread.
Right.
Let's venture into another category. Corned beef, pastrami. I'll eat any of it. I just will not put
Okay.
any mustard. I like the flavoring of the meat.
Yeah. So
I liked mustard. I would just squeeze mustard into my mouth, and that would be the flavor.
No. No, it's like you when you put cheese in an omelet, you like the cheese in the omelet, so you like the mustard on the hot dog or the bratwurst. So I'm just gonna give you my 3 favorites because you mentioned
Please.
Reuben with the sauerkraut.
Couldn't do it. I've never had sauerkraut in my life. Never.
That's wild. This is
Never.
I mean,
Sorry.
we could go. I guess the next time we'll just go down your diet and see because it's like, oh my Lord. You've never had sauerkraut?
We could do 90 minutes.
You ever had a Coney Island hot dog? You ever had a Coney Island with the chili on the hot dog? You ever had that at Coney Island?
I could eat it. I wouldn't upchuck, but I wouldn't eat it.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay. My second favorite sandwich is a chicken salad sandwich. I love chicken salad. Sometimes they have walnuts and grapes in there. Put a little cheese on there. Love red onions with the lettuce on rye, on toasted rye. Go ahead.
No shot.
No shot?
No, I would lose it.
Okay.
I would, in all sincerity, I don't know what would happen.
Okay.
If you forced me to eat that, there would be repercussions.
Okay. Now I'm going to get.
It would have to be like a hostage situation.
Right. Okay. My third one is the one where we're still. This was polarizing for people who actually eat sandwiches. So your head may explode.
I can't wait to hear it.
Okay. Tuna melt.
No shot. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why would you put cheese on tuna? It just doesn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't jive.
So
it's weird.
Are you one of those guys that every day for lunch you open a can of Spam? Is that what you eat? Or what is it? What is it you eat, man?
No, it's torturous, Craig. It's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have the palate of a 9-year-old, and it's troubling.
So there's a lot of lucky charms for you. Okay.
No, I thought maybe I would get a question where my answer could have been Jacquet, the actress. That would be part of my quiz. But instead,
the Landry sisters.
It had to be a sore subject on sandwiches.
Jacquet, that is so funny. That was great. Ian, thank you so much. And we'll see you around. We'll see you at one of the NBA games this year. Okay.
Can't wait, Kilby. Can't wait. Love chatting with you. Love seeing you. We'll do it again. I hope I'm asked back.
Absolutely.
Now I'm not convinced.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. I want to thank the great Iron Eagle. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.